Hey sis, welcome to the Confident Woman Lead podcast. I'm your host, Anita Miller, and today we're talking about the power of your presence, understanding your emotion and its impact. So, I recorded this podcast based on a number of things that I'm seeing, both whether it's from people posting about work things online, things that are coming up in the Confident Woman Lead podcast. And you're going to be surprised maybe by what I say in this podcast because I'm going to say a softer version of, you're the problem, sis. You're the problem. Now, before you get upset with me, stay with me. See where I go with this before you get ready to call me out, right? So here's the thing. You've got to learn how to be aware of your emotion. Motion, Motion. In other words, your presence, or else it will cause a commotion, especially at work. You've been heads down, grinding. You're doing your best to be a representation of excellence. You know that you do good work. But here's the thing. You don't seem to be aware that it is your motion that is causing the commotion you're experiencing. You know, those attacks you're experiencing at work, the ones that seem to come out of nowhere, it's the person who is on your team or in your organization who's trying to undermine your every move. And you can't, for the life of you, understand why, because you haven't done anything to them. Or maybe it's others' attacks you're experiencing that seem to come out of nowhere and you just don't understand why they are coming for you, especially because you didn't send for them. You don't understand why your boss doesn't like you, why your colleague has something slick to say out the mouth every time they speak, or why they keep trying to throw you under the bus in these here meetings. Okay? And the answer is simple. The answer is this is happening because you're unaware of your emotion. Yes, you're unaware of your emotion and that it's your emotion that is creating a commotion, right? It is how you're moving, it is what you're doing that is creating the commotion. So you might think that the commotion is being caused by the people who are saying the things to you, who are doing the things to you. But in reality, you're the cause. They're only reacting to your emotion. These things keep happening because you are unaware and it keeps taking you by surprise because even though you may not be thinking about them, they are thinking about you. So let's break this down a little more. And if I had to say it differently, it would be that you are unaware of your sheer presence, the energy that you bring, the way in which you move, how easy you make things seem. Now, when I speak of presence, I'm not talking about that you sit presently in a room or that you are there. That's not what I'm speaking to. I mean, essentially, you are unaware of your power. Maybe in your mind, you are confident, you're a queen, you're a boss, whatever title or label you want to put on it. But essentially, you're unaware of the impact your being brings to situation. Your energy, whether you speak or not, brings to situations. That you being you brings something to the table that is disturbing people's souls, sis. And here's the rub though. You can't change your emotion. Or rather, you don't want to even change operating in your greatness, making an impact, or executing on your purpose. Like, why would you want to change that? But if we're being strategic about our careers, we can't be walking around blindly wondering why people keep coming for us when we're not bothering them. It doesn't matter that you're not bothering them. Why do they keep coming for you? Is the question that needs to be answered. We need to understand how to navigate the risks that come with just being who we are, regardless of who you are or what you look like. The reason there's a gap in your understanding is because you've been looking down. It's likely you've been told to be humble, to not cause trouble, essentially to play small so that these things don't happen. And it may even be that that's what you thought you were doing, yet people are still coming for you. They are still disturbing your peace. They are still getting in your way or trying to call you out or make it look like you're the one incompetent when you're not. So you're over here heads down, minding your business, paying the business that minds you, but they're still coming. So you've been focused on the work and you're aware that you do good work, but you're unaware of how you show up because you don't see yourself. And you can't see yourself if you're always looking down. You don't see how you carry yourself. You don't see that you make things look so easy that aren't easy for everyone or for most people in most cases. You assume that everyone has your level of education and therefore your level of understanding, that everybody is as deep as involved in the work that they do, that they care as much as you, that they have done their research, their homework, read the processes and procedures. You assume that everyone has the knowledge that you hold. So therefore, when you speak with a level of authority and confidence without even trying because you know what you know. And that causes commotion because it triggers people's insecurities. And when people's insecurities are triggered, it then what people will do, whether they do it consciously or not, is initiate their defense mechanisms. These are the people that are going to go out of their way to make it seem like you're not that great, that you don't do a good job. These are the people that are going to go through your work to find an error to try to call you out. These are the people that are going to go out their way to be mean, to say cruel things, to try to reduce you down to size or to break your spirit, if you will. Then the other side of that coin is the other group that you have triggered, they're going to look at it and try to capitalize off of your emotion. This is the group that's going to ask you to help them to do their work and then take all the credit. This is the boss that is going to provide recognition and say nice things, but they're not going to give you the promotion. Either way, others are gaining at your expense. You don't have to go for someone's job or be competing against them for them to be competing against you or to see you as a threat. It took me a really good while to really recognize that I have presence, that I have a very strong, very magnetic personality, even if I just show up in a room and don't say anything. People can feel my energy. In the right room, people want to know what I think, right? I truly didn't understand this notion either, which is why I am calling it out for you. I can remember going to lunch one day and asking a group of my peers during lunch, do I have presence? Because something someone said had given me this notion. So I had started to think about it, started to explore it. But it didn't, I wasn't like, yeah, I do. Like, I wasn't convinced. So I asked my colleagues, and the assuredness of this group of women, the confidence of which they were like, yes, caught me off guard. I had never thought of myself in that way. And I imagine that you don't think about yourself in that way either. At the end of the day, what I think I'm doing and how others see or perceive me is not often the same. So, why do you need to understand this? You need to understand this because this is the root cause of so many of the issues you're facing in the workplace. So while I can coach you on each individual situation that comes up, ultimately, if I'm doing my job at its highest level, which means I'm not just being your coach, I am being your teacher, I'm being your strategist, I am providing well-rounded services for your greatest good, then I am going to teach you how to find the root cause of a situation or a root cause of why something is happening, this is how I'm able to get you results. This is how I'm able to help you grow. Because if all we do is spend all of our time worried about what Tommy, Sally, Tamika, or Kim did today, then we're not really solving the issue. We're just dealing with today's problems. So we will never make the progress we need to make. You will just do what I told you to do, and that'll be resolved, and things will be good for a little while. But then a similar situation will come up. I promise you. Think about it. And you'll be like, you won't necessarily see the connection because it won't present the same way, but ultimately, the root cause is the same. So therefore, if you're spending all your time on the distractions that others are creating, then they are distracting you from getting to the goal that you created for yourself. If I was to give you an analogy, I want you to think about it like this. If you're at work and you have these performance objectives, these strategic goals, goals that you have said that you want to achieve in your career. So let's say we're talking about Confident Woman Lead. You want to get promoted or your dream role or what have you in the next 12 months. But what you're finding is that when you go to work every day, there's either some sort of distraction, somebody's trying to throw you under the bus in the meeting, or there's an ad hoc work that your boss gives you. There's a fire drill that you didn't anticipate. So the strategic things are getting pushed to the side. They're getting pushed to the side. If that's the approach that you take to getting your work done, especially the strategic ones, it means that your strategic goals or your career objectives won't likely get done. Even if you want to, like, even if you still want to do it, at the end of the day, you likely don't have the mental capacity or the energy to really put effort into achieving those things. This is why when someone says, let's go to this networking event after work, you're exhausted. You can't even fathom how you could come up with the time, day, or energy to do such a thing. But if you're inside of CWL and I teach you how to see the root cause of the things that's happened, how to understand the system, how people are moving, why people are moving that way, how people are reacting to your emotion, you will know what to do. And so when it happens, all you'll simply need to do is to see it for what it is, and implement your strategy that we have talked about, that we have worked on for those type of situations, and move on with ease. This, sis, is where you get the time, the energy to then implement on your strategic goals. This is where we get to talking about how do I want to move, or what moves do I need to make to secure that promotion in 12 months or less. Right? Instead of being caught up in the commotion because people are reacting to the motion of you making things look easy. So take a moment, recognize that you do have power. Recognize how you're moving and the motion and the subsequent commotion that your motion is causing. Understand why people are intimidated. What are you triggering in them? Because if you can understand people, you can understand or know what strategies to implement based on the people that you are dealing with. At the end of the day, that is what strategy and influence looks like. Remember, confident women lead because you understand it's not about dimming your light. It's about being aware of how brightly your light shines. I love you, sis.